Ladies, gents, hope you're all well. Tough viewing game here for Cowboy supporters, especially when Tamalolo goes over. Pretty tough circumstances to be given a no try, especially if you're a fan of the Cowboys and obviously have Tamalolo in your team like I do. For then the Sharks to come out in the next 10 minutes and pop on a couple of tries. Obviously they deserve it, but yeah, a tough watch for a Cowboys fan. And a few decent scores, but really overall, not a big game this one in terms of fantasy output. 38 points should be enough for a few people to get some attacking stats and also get plenty of base there. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case in this one. The tackles being fairly low. There's only two guys that hit over that 40 mark and Dalfanuk in the 39. So tackling was down. Run meters were down also. There's only a couple of guys that ran for big meters, being a couple of the outside backs in Katoa over 150. We had Drinky and Rudolph over 160, and then Peter Hiku with 237 and Felty. So a lot of the outside backs kind of getting through a lot of the bigger meters here. And even Nico Hines out there dominating in that category as well, which is very, very normal for him at the moment. And great to see him return nicely after his COVID week with only a few negatives there. The 26 tackles is great, 5 goals, the 1 try assist, and as I said, plenty of run meters and the kick meters there. So unfortunate news that Damien Cook is not playing this game. So for anyone who brought him in, please try and reverse it if you can, just for this week, so you can get a potential better score. But hopefully your number 5 emergency you can actually take that score, and you do have some cover for your hooking position. I know a lot of people traded Reed for Damien Cook and don't have any cover, so very frustrating if that's the case, and you will have to play with 16. But if you do have Reedy still as cover, or potentially a Reece Robson or something like that as your secondary hooker, maybe it's a Brandon Smith, you can then get number 5, and hopefully you have like an Ezra Mam or someone like that in there that you could get the 40 odd there. Obviously I'm doing a video on Sunday morning there, so a little bit later than normal. But Hines 65, so most people would have had him as vice. I did personally in my team, so thankfully having Reed still, I can get Ezra Mam and then get Hines as the vice there to get his double score at 65, which is what we're hoping Damien Cook would have got anyway. This is the big one now, guys. Lucy Leilua got the full 80 minutes this week. Obviously with Nanai being out, gave him that opportunity to start and play the big minutes and got a 62, which is something we're used to seeing him get. Obviously, the 36 tackles there and the 92 meters for the 45 in base, but him with his attacking stats is a very normal thing, and you're getting him at a potential cut price there. The main issue is going to be that you've got Gilbert and Nanai, who are both Origin players now, that are in his role. So how that's going to work going forward, I'm not exactly sure, but let's have a look at team list and stuff next week and go from there. Tiki Wilden had a nice game there, plenty of base, obviously a try as well. So that was ideal for him. You had Cam McInnes with his 51. So a lot of people worried about the minutes for him. He was going to be looking to play close to 60. He went off near the end there, but picked up 51 in base and a couple of negatives, a couple of positives, and just leaves him at that 51 mark, which is pretty well priced at, just below 50 there. I think it's someone that I feel like everyone should be holding. Obviously, based after this one, you're looking at maybe trading Dylan Brown over McInnes, but it is what it is. With that one, I think Cammy Boy you can just hold for the year. There's a lot of guys, people brought in Frizzell this week and recent weeks, and he hasn't scored enough, unfortunately. So there's always going to be guys that aren't consistent, and McInnes is one of those guys that is. So I see him as a solid one. For those who are looking at Hamaso, I understand why. Cheap playing this week, but we weren't to expect him to score a try in this one and go back to a lot of the scores he was doing in previous years. So if you did pick him up and played him, well done. But just remember that Val Holmes will be back next week, and Peter Hick is playing well also. All right, Tamalolo, just a lower minutes. If we're looking at 10 extra minutes from him, we're getting close to that 55 score, which we're looking for on a week-to-week basis. And he's someone who's priced at 608. So if you are trading him out, you're trading out a guy that is priced in the mid-40s. So 47 beats that. We'd obviously like some 50s out of him. And if he did score that try, he would have been well into the 60s. So just an unfortunate one for him. We'll take the 47, move on from there. Similar situation to Robson. He's obviously had a tremendous amount of great scores. And this one here, the 45, wasn't his best. But, tackles were down a little bit. No attacking stats there. Just wasn't his game. And he will have much better games than that over the next bunch of weeks. So it's what it is on that one. We look down a little bit further to someone like Drinkwater, who had a solid game, did have a line break and 7 tackle breaks, but overall the lack of attacking stats outside of that was the killer, and a negative 14 there, which stopped him. But the 37, it's okay. We deal with it. You move on if you own him. And same with Malatalo. 37 is to be expected from these types of outside backs sometimes. Blake Brayley's the main worry there, 34 in his 70 minutes, so obviously not completing the full game, and did get the sin bin, which killed him. So we can't put too much on this one. You take away the 7 points, gives him back to 41, and then he has an extra 10 minutes to get to close to that 50 score, which is completely fine. So we just have to chalk that up as a loss this week and move on. Will Kennedy with the 34, again, just continues to get mid-30s. So he's making a little bit of cash, which would be great for anyone who owns him. And potentially, you could use him as a cash down or an upgrade at some point. Gilbert with the 17, obviously played the limited minutes. And that's it for that one. We'll move on to the second game on that Friday night. And it was the Eels v the Warriors. And we spoke about guys like Dylan Brown, who didn't score perfectly well. But we got to start up the top with guys like Tohu Harris and Brown and Aitken, who topped the charts this week in an awesome effort. They obviously lost by 10, 28-18 for the Eels over the Warriors there. Obviously a nice game, a good fight from the Warriors to keep that close. But Tohu there, obviously 61 in base was terrific and still only got the 70 minutes. So really take that. Got the line break, the try assist. There's plenty going on for him there. The -9. So yeah, just points up and down across the ball and shows why he's a definite keeper there. A 623k, you're getting him at a cut price. If you haven't got him yet, could be an interesting time to jump on. If you're looking for someone in that mid-600s, he'll be a little bit higher than that after this week. Brown and Aitken, the other one, just really dominating the base stats there, 51 for him. Couple of offloads, which is really rare, and a turnover tackle. So Aitken, great, definite second best keeper in those centres. And if you want to pick him up in the next few weeks, no issues there at all. Interesting one here was the Isaiah Papali'i getting 55 with a line break and try. Was a little bit sad for those that own him. Obviously, base stats a little bit lower at 47 this week. Not what we're looking for if you own him, but you'll still take the 55. And if you viced him and have Damien Cook, then you're going to get that 55 there as well. Reedy was 55, so a few people are like, oh, you're happy you kept hold of him? Yeah, it's decent. He needs a few more of them to make up for it, but definitely happy with holding him this week and getting that 55. Would have been nice if he played the full 80 and got those extra 5 or 10 points, but is what it is. The 2 try assists, 37 tackles for 1 miss, a little bit of kicking out of dummy half was solid there as well, and just a limited negatives was great. Zivol 53, for those who have been interested in him, you get a reward there. Moses 52 was lovely there. You'll take that for sure with him being priced under 50. Sean Lane 50, Tavanga, all solid scores for those that own these guys. You're happy with that if you got Shawnee Lane. Curran, again, we keep speaking about him being like a 48 to 52 type of player, averaging out to a 50, and he picked up that 48 in 65 minutes. So it's interesting that Tohu and Curran are both playing just under 80 minutes. Something to keep an eye on. Dylan Brown, more attacking stats again, plenty of tackles, and still only gets a 44. It's probably close to being time to upgrade him if you can, especially when we saw scores like DCE, you got Cleary there. There's a few things going on with those types of players and them scoring way above what Dylan is at the moment. So even with the attacking stats, still scoring 44, not good enough in my eyes and might need to be upgraded if you have enough trades. If you don't, you're just going to have to hold him from here on because he is 642k, for example. We go a little bit lower. We got Junior Polo there with 40. Wasn't great, to be honest with you, for what keeper status he should be. You got guys like Gutho with 25 was only average for sure, and I'm very glad that I moved on from Penasini with an 18. That was very, very annoying for anyone who's looking to hold on to him. He's going to be down about 450k after this one, so tough one for Penasini. 3 in a row, which is really weird for someone that was so consistent throughout the beginning of the year, the first 10 to 12 rounds. So unfortunately, is what it is with that one. I hope you enjoyed those first 2 games there, guys, in this review. Obviously, the reason why I'm doing these late is just so you can get a good idea of what I'm thinking around these players heading into next week, what I thought of those scores, and we can go from there. But I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe, like, appreciate it, and we'll catch you in the next video.